Hi everyone, today we've got something a bit different. We have the Textile Challenge, and for this we have a special guest.
Hey, and I'm Lucy. I'm a tapestry weaver.
Lucy's going to help me show you how to weave at home.
Right, so to weave with we need a loom, and the most basic loom to use is a cardboard loom. So these ones you can see, this one has got markings cut out in triangles. Now as long as you use thick cardboard, doesn't really matter what you use to create your loom. So I'm going to show you, this is just some cardboard that's been cut from a thick envelope. And if you cut it to the required size, doesn't matter how big or small, though I wouldn't go too small or too big. And then taking a ruler and a pencil, mark out every centimetre. You need to do that at the bottom and the top, making sure that the markings are lined up. So they need to be the same space or thereabouts at both ends of your cardboard. Okay, so you can see I've marked the bottom and the top. I have left a gap at the sides that's a bit bigger, just so that the loom's a little bit more stable and sturdy. And now I'm just going to cut into those marks, just a little bit in. So we don't have to cut the triangle shapes. You're going to do this all the way along both sides on your marks. Right, so that is a simple loom. Now we need to attach the warp. The warp is the thread that runs up and down your loom, and for this one I'm just going to use some garden twine. Mollie's going to show you how to warp up your loom.
So to start off with, you just take the string or the wool or whatever you're using and just place it between the cuts in your cardboard and just continue turning it over and just, trying to keep it kind of tight just until you've kind of got the right size you're looking for. Once you've finished, I'd just put one little knot in the end of your wool, just so that it can be undone at the end when you want to tie off.
You can use all sorts of materials around the home to weave with. You can use plastic bags, strips of fabric, wools, bits of raffia or twine from the garden, paper, use paper strips to weave with. And you can incorporate different items as well, such as beads or buttons and different pieces of fabric. Okay, a little tip for using your loom before you start. The warp is sitting flat on the cardboard, which makes it a bit hard to pick up the warp ends. So what you can do is just give it a little bend, and that way that just lifts the warps just off the cardboard, so they just sit in the way, making it a lot easier to pick them.
So to start off with, I just took some old macrame thread that I had hanging around and just weaved it through the warp threads, just picking up every other thread, and then when you turn it around you do the opposite ones, and then just beating it down with a fork just to keep it all nice and tight together. Next, I chose to introduce some pipe cleaners just to change it up a bit, circling around 2 threads this time, just to create that really cool circular motion. Building up the threads a bit more, I just next went in with a post-it note, cutting it up into strips and then going and weaving it between the warp threads. And if it goes wrong, you can just take it out and do it again. And then I just carry on experimenting, bringing in some more pipe cleaners and weaving that between just 2 of the warp threads this time, just to change it up a bit. You can just keep experimenting with different shapes and colours, just making sure that you do go back and fill in the rest of the warp, just so that it stays all together. Next, for the weft, I just use some old ribbon I have lying around from Christmas and just weave it through, sort of pressing down with my finger to make it bend a bit more as it was a bit stubborn. I make a bit of a diagonal effect with this by turning around one thread before the end of the row each time. Again, just keep remembering to go back and fill in all those gaps, beating it down with a fork to make it all nice and tightened together. Next, I decide to just pull through some ribbon on each warp thread, doubling it over, putting it behind, and then just pulling the ribbon through the middle, and then you have it tied on. And you can just cut that down or curl it, and just keep going with that until it's all done.
Now your weaving's complete, I'm going to show you how you can finish it off on a hanger. I'm going to use a barbecue stick, but you could use any stick or paper straw to do this. So take what you're going to use and weave it in and out above the top row of your weaving. Turn your board over and cut the warp yarns. Now you're going to tie the warps to your stick. So I've done it tying 2 at a time so that you've got 1 warp each side of your stick, and it will tie on nicely. Do that the whole length of the top of the warp. Once you've done that across the whole top of the weaving, then remove the weaving totally from your board and tie the warps at the other end. Now I've done that using 4 warps together and tied it in a big knot up against the weaving. This way everything will be secure and your weaving won't fall apart. If you want to tidy up the back of your weaving, then just take the long ends and tuck them in to the back of the weave and then cut them so they're shorter. Now all that's left to do is attach some wool or cotton to your stick and hang up your weaving.
Please don't forget to share your creations with us using the hashtags and tagging the Broadway Gallery. If you enjoyed this challenge, please get in touch with Lucy to find out about her monster weaving online activity.